Okay, let's talk knots. I use 3 basic knots. At the end of every knot, I always use a simple hitch knot just to finish them off. But you have the Albright, the Palomar, and the modified nooses knot. The only time I ever use the Albright is when I'm attaching 2 pieces of line together. Usually 98% of the time it's fluorocarbon to braid. The one thing you'll need to start doing is keeping a good pair of small sharp scissors in your bag or your boat and a lighter for when you're cutting braid. Braid does tend to fray a little bit, so I always burn the end so that it will melt together and not, you don't have to worry about it fraying at all. The first knot I will show you is the modified nooses knot that I use for the majority of everything I tie when I'm connecting it to the line. This is just a simple mushroom jig head. You go through the eyelet one way, you make a small loop at the end. I go around 4 or 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have the tag, you have your wrap, and you have your lure at the end of the line. I go back through the lure the opposite way that I went through to begin with. What this does is this gives you basically 2 strands going through your eyelet to strengthen your knot. Okay, once that's through there, come back through the tag end loop that you left. Now you have both your leads in your hand, wet it with saliva, pull it tight, and now you have your attached knot. Again, I finish it off with a simple hitch knot. And cut my tag end. Now it's ready to go. And I use that again on 95% of everything else that I throw. The next knot I'm going to show you is a Palomar knot. It's a very strong knot, and I use this knot for things like crankbaits and jerk baits, stuff that you may end up retying quite frequently just because it's easier to use. You go through your eyelet one way, you go back through the other. Getting old sucks. So now you have both ends on either side of your lure and your loop. Go through, double it over, pass it through as a simple hitch, and then take your loop end and go put the entire bait back through. Again, wet it with saliva and pull it tight. It's a very simple knot that works rather well with things like crankbaits, jerkbaits, and the like. The last knot I'm going to show you is called the Albright, and I use this knot only to tie together braid and fluorocarbon or braid and monofilament. I really like using braid because braid does not break down in UV like monofilament and fluorocarbon do. The more your monofilament and your fluorocarbon are exposed to UV, the more brittle they get, the more likely they are to break. So using even a braid base and a leader will also get you away from that as well. Make a loop in your monofilament or your fluorocarbon. Bring your braid up through the bottom of the loop. Give yourself plenty to work with. Now take and wrap your braid around your monofilament or your fluorocarbon 5 times up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now grab the other end and go back down 5 times. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now make sure that this end, this leftover tag end, goes through the exact opposite of the way it came through the bottom, or the knot will not tie. Again, moisten with spit and pull them tight. Now once you have this, take your braided end, do your simple hitch, and pull it tight. What you have here is a very strong knot that will actually pass through the eyelets of your spinning or your casting rod with no problem. It's very thin and it works very well. Again, sharp pair of scissors to cut your braid, and then I always take my lighter and burn that end so that I don't have to worry about my end fraying off. This end here of your monofilament or your fluorocarbon, you can cut fairly close. I usually only leave about a 1/16 of an inch, and I've used this knot on everything from crappie to saltwater dorado. This knot will not give on you, and it will not take you. And